Now listen, everybody's dropping their trousers for this steam machine, but I think it's a bit of a nothing burger. And I've actually got the requisite parts to see what a steam machine might actually perform like, so let's give it a look. To properly compare, we need to know what's actually in the steam machine. The idea of the steam machine is to be an entry-level PC streamlined for gaming. It's essentially a console version of a PC, something you can just plug in and it supposedly just works. Now Valve are claiming 4K 60 is possible on the hardware, so let's have a look at the spec list to see if that's realistic. So I can see here that it has a 6-core Zen 4 AMD CPU with a 4.8 GHz boost and a 30 watt TDP. If I wanted to compare that to a desktop CPU, the closest I would have to that is a Ryzen 5 8400F. And luckily I do have one to go in this machine, but we will need to limit that chip to 30 watts for a fair comparison. For the GPU, we have an RDNA 3 based AMD GPU with 28 CUs, 8 GB of VRAM and a 110 watt TDP. So RDNA 3, if you don't know, it's the Radeon 7000 series, and it's very similar sounding, that spec, to a Radeon 7600. And luckily I've got one of those as well, unbelievably. We will have to limit this 7600 to 110 watts somehow later, we'll work it out. And the desktop version is probably a little bit better. It has 4 more CUs as 32 versus 28, so the desktop part will still be a little bit faster. And then to round everything else out, it's got quite a nice looking mini ITX case. It's got 16 GB of DDR5 memory. They don't mention the speed or if it's dual channel. And there are storage options for both 512 gig or 2 terabytes. 512 is not really enough in 2025, 2026, is it? So most people are going to want the 2 terabyte, but maybe they want to get started on a 500 and upgrade later. So of course this is going to be based on Steam OS, and Steam OS is a Linux distribution which is very focused just on gaming. And the performance can actually be a bit better than Windows. However, you're not going to be able to enable secure boot in order to have kernel level anti-cheat, which might be difficult because you're not going to be able to play games like Battlefield 6, for example, and I can see that being a problem. So I wouldn't normally use an A620 board, like a low end like this one, but the market we're in nowadays for the RAM means that I have to take advantage of the bundle offers I get from my suppliers. So let's put this together. It works to our benefit for the video though, because I'm sure whatever motherboard the Steam machine uses probably doesn't have the strongest VRM either. We've also got 16 GB of DDR5 here as well, which apparently is the same as what the Steam machine's going to have, but whether the Steam machine's is dual channel or not, I don't know. This motherboard bundle came with this MSI tower cooler, so we're going to chuck that on. Although I expect the cooling in the Steam machine will also be worse than this. So I've just installed an SSD. It doesn't really matter for the purposes of this, but it is a Crucial T500. All right, so obviously we're using a classic motherboard box case today because we're just doing some testing, so why not? It's always handy to have bench power supply, something with a lot of watts. And there we have it, our actually desktop PC is ready. So let's boot it up and see what it's capable of. And we have life, fans are all spinning. Okay, so it wouldn't be fair to run the components on this desktop setup with the full power limit. So we do need to power limit our CPU. But before we do that, let's make sure that we've got the Expo profile enabled. I think that's only fair. And then we can move on to changing the CPU settings. Jesus Christ, well, it's an hour later. I've just had to manually tune and time every single timing on the RAM sticks on this motherboard, and I've had to downclock it to 5200 megahertz to get it stable. I'm about to cry, but I have to ship that graphics card and a PC tomorrow, so I can't do this video any other time. So let's crack on. Another fun fact, I forgot I don't have a 4K monitor and I want to test this thing at 4K. So I've had to bring it down to my living room to play on this 65-inch 4K TV. Joy of joys. At this point in the video, you can see that I am deep in the Adrenaline software. Now, usually I would undervolt using MSI Afterburner, but it was quite late and I just wanted a rough and ready way to get this as low as possible. So I spent about 15 minutes just playing with the voltages and the frequencies until I got it somewhere near 110 watts. I had to downclock it down to 2500 megahertz with 1150 on the millivolts. And that gives us a total board power. It sort of flits between 110 and 120, sometimes dips down a little bit. Okay, so because I'm on this really cheap motherboard, which I chose because I wanted to represent a low-end system, of course you can't manipulate the power limits on Ryzen. So the only option I have is to use this eco mode in the BIOS. I don't know what effect that's going to have on anything, but it says 35 watts in brackets, so let's just see what happens. All right, so we've got Red Dead Redemption at 4K medium settings. I do not think this is going to be a playable experience, but let's have a look. Okay, so I'm actually amazed because we're almost hitting 60 FPS at 4K on this setup with the Radeon 7600 and the 8400F, which is pretty faithfully sitting at around 30 watts. I don't have the power on for the GPU in this monitoring because it does mess with the game and cause stuttering sometimes. I might be eating my words here, guys. Okay, so as we can see, the test is completed and it's got 50 average FPS, which is much better than I expected. At this point, I was already thinking of what to write in my apology letter to Gabe, but I wanted to see if this was just a fluke. All right, so this is Black Myth Wukong. It's got FSR on, but frame gen off. We're not going to do the ray tracing, obviously. And we've got everything on medium, and this is on the 4K screen. Well, just about. Get away with that, won't you, 60 FPS? So let's put the fluid motion frames or the frame gen on and see what you get with that. The only issue that I see with this is when you have the frame gen on, things like the edges of trees all look really like fizzy and weird. So this is why I don't really like using frame gen if possible, but if you need it to hit a performance target, then you can do it. And we've hit 70 FPS here, so 2-0 to Steam versus me. At this point, I was actually shocked just how good performance you can get on old stuff, but I thought if we threw Cyberpunk at it, that might cause this whole thing to fall down. We're not going to use ray tracing, but it is at 4K, and we're going to be putting the FSR on auto to see what result that we get. Oh my god, it's actually done it. So 4K medium, 64 FPS, and you know that if you put frame gen on, you're going to get an even better result. I was starting to get annoyed with myself for getting this prediction so wrong, so I got salty and started up Battlefield 6, full in the knowledge that this game probably isn't going to work on the Steam machine because of the kernel level anti-cheat. Let's see how it does. So this is actually at 1440p, because I thought it was a bit unfair to make them do Battlefield at 4K, as it is a competitive shooter. But this is not a playable experience, unfortunately. So this is at 1440p medium, and we're getting sort of between 45 and 50 FPS, and this is not good enough for a shooter like this. I mean, even 60 FPS to me is not acceptable. Now we have Fortnite. This is at 4K low settings, but with epic draw distance, and this is how the majority of people play Fortnite, actually. Yeah, the performance this is good enough. Like, you could compete at 4K, and I think, you turn this down to 1440 or 1080, you could be having a really good experience here. Okay, so this is 1440p Fortnite now, low settings, but with epic draw distance. We don't even have any FSR on, I don't think, at the moment. And this performance is great. This is really smooth, it feels nice. I can't complain about this. It was at that point I remembered that Fortnite also isn't going to work with Steam OS because of the kernel level anti-cheat. So I picked up my Frankenstein contraption and had a think about what I wanted to say in this video. Okay, the results are in, and if I had a big humble pie in front of me right now, I would be chowing down with the juices dripping down my cheeks because I am absolutely stunned. 4K 60 at medium settings was possible on this fairly low-grade hardware. And it just shows how these upscaling technologies and things like that have come a long way, even in the past couple of years. So essentially, my initial thoughts of this being absolutely unachievable were completely wrong. But let's not forget, there are some caveats that we need to talk about here, and some reasons why you may want to or may not want to buy the Steam machine. So firstly, let's talk about this system that we've made. We've tried to get as close as we can with desktop parts, but desktop parts are pretty much always faster than the mobile equivalents. I can't think of any examples where that's not true. For example, graphics card here. This is Radeon 7600, of course, but it has more compute units than the one that's going to be in the Steam machine. And I couldn't get the power limit to be strictly 110 watts. I got it between sort of 110 and 120 most of the time. Let's talk about CPU. 8400F being the closest desktop equivalent, but I still think that's going to be faster than whatever they put into the Steam machine, because the Steam Machine one is limited to 30 watts, whereas in the BIOS of this motherboard, the best that I could get this CPU down to was 35 to 40 watts. So there is a bit more performance being given by this 8400F. Memory next. So we've got dual channel memory in this test system. We don't know if it's going to be dual channel in the Steam Machine. This is running at 5200 after I had to do a lot of tweaks, but who knows what it's going to be in the Steam Machine. I expect in the Steam Machine it will be at JDEC speed, which is usually 4800. But there's lots of other caveats and things you need to think about with the Steam Machine as well. With a regular desktop system like this, you can upgrade this over time. You can swap parts out, you can upgrade, you can change the case, change the motherboard, change whatever you want. Steam Machine is fixed hardware, so you are losing that ability to upgrade. And that can actually kind of reduce your resale value in a way. There's a bit of a used market for PC parts, but there's not so much of a thriving market for old consoles, particularly if it's only one generation old. And I do think of the Steam Machine like a console. I think one of the Steam Machine's main issues is the fact that you're not going to be able to use the kernel level anti-cheat, which means that really popular titles like Battlefield 6 aren't going to be compatible unless Valve comes up with some magic for when this thing releases. So I think it's fairly clear that whatever the Steam Machine is probably going to be a little bit less powerful than the machine that we've put together to compare it to, but as always, the key thing is the price. What price does the Steam Machine need to be in order to be competitive? Now, because you're losing upgradability, kernel level anti-cheat and things like that, and probably having worse cooling as well, I really think the Steam Machine needs to be £500 or less for it to be viable. Because yes, this system we put together today will probably be a little bit more than that, but there's lots of other features there that we've talked about that are much better on a desktop system. That said, I don't think they're going to price it at 500. I think they'll price it at 600 or 700. And despite it probably being a worse proposition than a budget gaming PC overall, I think the Steam Machine is going to absolutely fly off shelves. And it's not because of technical reasons, it's because of psychology. Let me tell you about that. So as somebody that's had a PC building company for many years, people don't often care about the precise spec. Sometimes they do, but most of the time they have a problem. They want you to fix the problem with a piece of hardware. So put yourself in these shoes. Your name is Sandra. You are a 38-year-old single mother. You have a 10-year-old son that won't shut up about getting a gaming PC. Valve comes in, here, £600, small box, fits anywhere, works every time, everything's compatible. That single mum is just going to go, yeah, I'll have that. That's easier. I don't have to think. I don't have to waste my time. I just get this one and then Timmy's going to be happy. And that is how the world works a lot of the time. So in conclusion, I think the Steam Machine is going to be a lot better than people think in terms of what it can achieve, but it has very serious limitations, including the upgradability and the kernel level anti-cheat, and many of the games, they're not going to be able to hit that 4K 60 even with the upscaling technology. My other concern is around cooling as well. When people see a little box like this, they tend to sort of stuff it in a cupboard under a TV unit or something like that, and that is going to seriously affect performance because those kind of small PCs especially need lots of ventilation. So guys, I'd really love to hear what you think about what we've tested today and the few limited titles that we've done, and let me know your thoughts on the Steam Machine. Maybe your mind has been changed just like mine.